This video is going to walk you through linear regression, an introduction to that, as well as how to use the DeltaMath.com program to find the linear regression. So first thing, all that we're doing is finding a line of best fit. So that's all that a linear regression is, but it is the actual calculation to find the exact line of best fit and not just one that we're picking out based on ordered pairs on a scatter plot. So normally we would be using a graphing calculator for this, but this program is a good substitute for that. So I am going to show you how to work this website, and then I'm going to flip back and forth between that and then the paper pencil. So again, all we're doing is finding the line of best fit. So first thing, on the DeltaMath site, you want to read the question, the problem, because it is going to give you information about how to express your answer. So annual profits are given in the table. X is representing the number of years since 2011. Sometimes when we do a linear regression, we can't use 2011 because that is going in for the value of X. So we can make the problem a little bit easier for our calculator if we change that and say that 0 is going to be 2011, 1 would be 2012, 2 would represent 2013, this would represent 2014, this would represent 2015. But what we need to remember is when we get our answer to the question that we're being asked, we need to go back and make sure we put it in the correct year. And then this is the profit. So write the linear regression equation that represents the set of data. We're rounding to the nearest hundredth. And then we need to estimate the calendar year where the profits would reach $332,000. All right, so what you're going to do on this is we're going to copy the values for the calculator. So click on that. And then we're going to open the statistics calculator. Now, again, if we had graphing calculators, we would be entering all of these ordered pairs in there, but all you need to do is paste them in there. So on a graphing calculator, we have list 1, this represents our X values, and list 2 represents our Y values. So we already have that in there. If we had additional values, we could just go in here and type them in. Next thing we're going to do is go to the Calc menu, because what we're going to do is calculate. So we want to calculate, and then this is what your options are. There are more options on a graphing calculator, but we want to do the linear regression. So you can see that we could do a quadratic regression, which would be a parabola of best fit, and we could do an exponential regression, which would be the curve of best fit, and we will be doing those, but we're going to stick with just linear regressions today. So we're doing a line of best fit. So I'm going to click on that. I want to turn the diagnostics on, and I'll explain that in just a second. And then you click calculate, and here is all the information you need. So while we may have made up a line of best fit based on our personal preferences on what we thought the middle was, this is the actual line of best fit that's done its calculation based on the ordered pairs. So the equation that we use is y equals mx plus b. Graphing calculator always uses ax plus b, but that's the same thing. And here it's telling us that this is the value of the a, so that's our slope, and this, the 76, is the value of the b. So I'm going to click over to my paper. So the problem with this is I don't have a way to get the question on here. So I'm just going to label this as example 1. And then I'm just going to remind myself that this is from DeltaMath. Okay, so the M is 28.4. The B value is 76. Now, we're not going to do the R squared, that's something different. But the R value, we talked about this a couple days ago, and the R value is our correlation coefficient, and this one is 0.9759, which is extremely close to 1. It could get a little closer, but it is still very close. So that's a great R value. And then we also know that there's a positive relationship between these two things. So I'm going to return back over here, and I am done with this. So what you need to do is, I need to move my camera up here for a second. We're going to go back to DeltaMath. Now, if I click on this tab, if yours is set to open in a new tab, then my data is still there. So I'm going to click back over here and then just move this back down so you can see what we want to see. So the equation is y equals, and I'm just typing this in using my keyboard, 28.4x plus 76. So there's our equation. But now we were asked to figure out a calendar year. So right up here, using this equation, estimate the calendar year when the profits would reach 332. So the 332 is in thousands of dollars, but we're just going to use 332. That would be the Y value. So I'm going to switch over here back to my paper, and the equation that we came up with was y equals mx plus b, and they are giving us a value of 332,000, but that's the y value. So what I'm going to do is fill this in, 332,000, 28.4x plus 76. And now what I need to do is solve for x. So you can grab your handy dandy calculator here, and all we're going to do is solve this equation. So we have 332, we need to subtract 76, which would give us 256, and then we need to divide by 28.4, and we get that x is 9.01, blah, 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 whatever. So we are estimating. So this to me says that this is in the 9th year. Now, the answer to this question, however, over here is not going to be 9, because 9 is the years, number of years since 2011. So if we have a 9 in this column, then our final answer should be 2020. So now I'm going to submit, and yes, and we got it right. Now, if you look down here, it will show you basically what we did. So we put the data into the calculator, we got this amount. We were told to round to the nearest hundredth, which wasn't a problem. We wrote the equation, and then it asked us to solve for a specific value. Now, the only thing that I don't like, well, it's not the only thing, but one thing I don't like about this program is you don't get to see the scatter plot until after you're done. But so this was our scatter plot right here, and the line of regression is right in there, and you can see that that is a really good line, and the data points are very strong. So that 0.97 correlation coefficient, you can see clearly how close that is on that scatter plot. And then we were asked to figure out in what year would the profit be 332,000. So that we worked backwards and got 9. All right, let's go back up here, and hopefully we'll have time to do one more question. Oh yeah, good, because this one's going the opposite way. Okay, so here's question number 2. So the annual profits for a company, so we're doing profit again, are given in the table. X is representing the number of years since 1997, and Y is the profit in thousands of dollars again. So we want a linear regression that represents, we're rounding to the nearest hundredth, and then we need to project the profit for 2008. First thing I'm going to do is copy the values. Then I'm going to open the calculator, and I'm going to paste those values in there. Then I'm going to go up here, and I want to calculate. And again, we're doing a line of best fit, which is the linear regression. The diagnostic is the R value, and then calculate. So here we go. This is the line of best fit. So I'm going to go over to my notebook paper, and for example 2, we have y equals 10.8x plus 103.3, and then the r value is 811, we'll say 8. All right, so this one's still a strong R value, not nearly as strong as the last one. So if you want to think of it as being like a percentage, this one is about an 81% match. That's not exactly the same thing, but again, the R value is from 0 to 1 or -1. All right, so to get back to where I need to go, remember that, and I have 2 tabs open. That's my last question. I'm going to get that out of here. I want to go back to DeltaMath. So if I go back here, my information's still there. All right, so now we're going to type in the equation using your keyboard. 10.8x plus 103.3. All right, so now I need to answer the question. So find the projected profit for the year 2008. Okay, so if we think about what we're doing, we're not entering 2008 into the value for X because we need to do years since 1997. So if we think about 2008 compared to the year 1997, all that we need to do is subtract. So what we're looking for is the X value of 11. So to go back over to the paper, I know that 11 is going to represent 2008. All right, so I want to take the equation and fill in 11 for X because the year is the value of X. So grab your handy dandy calculator and we're just going to calculate. 10.8 times 11, whoops, trying to let you see it, times 11 plus 103.3, and that gives us 221.1. So 222.1, but it said to round to the nearest $1,000. So we're just going to say that that is going to be 222,000. All right, so come back over here, type 222, submit our answer. I hope I typed everything correctly and we got it right. And then again, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see the equation and the graph. All right, hopefully that gives you enough information to get started. My suggestion would be to have the paper handy so you can jot down the information, and then just make sure that you're watching for those, the right over here where it might be years since instead of saying 1997, and then also make sure you're paying attention to how you need to be rounding because DeltaMath will mark it wrong if you don't round correctly.